What's up, everybody? 11:05, 11:06 on the clock. Friday night into Saturday morning, your space show with me, the captain. What's up, Fantasy Ecstasy and Jedi Princess Catdam, Kimmy, and whoever else is hopping aboard the spacecraft as we launch another. Let me breathe here. As we launch ourselves into the stratosphere once again. So I got some fresh tunes for y'all tonight. Actually, some archive tunes from way back that I think there are about 10 songs y'all haven't heard ever. Maybe some of you have, but I bet like there are at least 10 that y'all haven't heard. So tonight's going to be a fun one. Keep me posted on the audio. Make sure I keep it level. Let me know if this is good right here. So we got a really hazy, nearly full moon, 98.7% illuminated coming up. It's still southeast for me, so it hasn't hit zenith yet. And what is it? 35 degrees altitude. And rolling into full on a super hot July night. I'm already melting. It's like 10 minutes in, but what can you do? This is the life of the astronomer. What's up, Rastaman? Rastaman lives. What's happening? Rastaman vibration. I should really do a night where it's just all Bob Marley and Fela. They'll get flagged immediately. What's up there, Ellie Wynn? Good to see you. Oh yeah. Back to the tunes. Keep the vibe going. This one has such a cool outro and gets us right in the mood. So I got coffee. I got everything prepped tonight. And what's up, Jen? Ginjin. Yo, Jello.
slow like the cold trains of the soul track. It brought me down to the whoa. Forget about the land you knew was strange. Remember all the love you knew was fake. Won't you close your eyes, relinquish every step of the way. Oh, terrestrial, and all your memories like a cold hand. What's up your sleeve like a death wheel? I'm rolling down. I'll be toe to toe with the truth you know. All about show away. Would you go to the end of your days? With your bye. Will you crawling up to you? Will you go to the end of your days? Yeah. Go to the end of your days. To the end of your days.
All right. So I was making a joke, but also serious about the first part of that. So Rasta Man Lives is asking me, what is the ether? And so there are a lot of different public or popular opinions about what the ether is. And I feel like for me, it's almost like a fish tank, or kind of I guess a large unit of potential plasma conscious energy, if that's, and you know, something like Ken Wheeler says, the dielectric medium. Some people call it dark matter, dark energy, but I think it's the collective. You know, the ether is not just, I guess, well, it could be just the dark matter, and then the matter that we see is surrounded by ether, but the ether could be everything, and then matter and counter space exist within the ether. So I feel like it's plasma at a fundamental level, which in and of itself, what is plasma, you know? It's a state of matter or modality. I think thinking back to what Tesla said about matter is almost like a sound vibration in the ether. So if you can just imagine that there's potential energy that's conscious to some degree. And what is conscious? Just aware of its existence and its surrounding by having this interlocking geometry of the node and the shell. So at its fundamental level. And then I think the ether is made up of everything. So if I'm really being put on the spot right now, I would imagine that the ether contains both matter and antimatter. But I think that was a little bit rocky. I'll reapproach it in a little bit, but I hope I made a tiny touch of sense. What's happening, everybody? Mistaken Mystery. Let me know if the video and the audio is sounding and looking good. And what's up, Robert Gaia? How's it going? Am I late? Did I miss anything? Nope, just been going for about 20 minutes. We got a 98.8 waxing gibbous, nearly full moon. And I'm just waxing poetic about the ether and playing some tunes here. I tried to upload at least a dozen or so songs that y'all have never or very rarely have heard. So it's kind of a deep cuts show. Got some haze around the moon. It's moving towards the southern zenith, and Jupiter and Saturn will be in tow soon. Hopefully we can see them as well. Friday night into Saturday morning. Just been doing this a lot and getting pretty fried on astronomy, but it harkens and beckons me, and it doesn't hearken, it beckons me to do it every night. So while I have some time, just gonna keep this streak going like old times. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun show. That last one was Fine Shore Ways and Waiting for Your Release. This one is called Summer Waves, and it's a little bit darker, but we'll get the mood going here. All these are kind of old songs, but we can still vibe to them. Thanks everybody for joining. As always, I know it's amazing that some of y'all stay throughout the whole show, so I do appreciate that. All right.
Summer waves, so you carry me all the way. Crash like a motorbike, come waste some Time after life.
that was a few old jams. I'm putting them all out there because whatever, I feel like y'all have heard everything. Want to just change it up a bit. Let's see what's going on. Robert says, thinking about buying a Yamaha DGX 660. I'm going to look that up real quick. Yeah, that's pretty rad. That's kind of like halfway between a real piano. Yeah, I've played one of these before. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Weighted keys really makes a difference. Yeah, the one I bought is this Axiom Pro. I've had it for like 10 years, and it's still working, but I'm looking into getting something new. But yeah, I've never really had anything more than a MIDI controller because of the space. But yeah, Logic has a lot of emulators of all the old 70s and 80s synths. It's pretty perfect. I kind of dig into that crate and just go wild. The surf guitar is totally boss, brah. Love it. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was going for, a little bit of that Dick Dale sound. It's hard to not sound exactly like that, kind of, that whole Miserlou track, because they kind of go all over the place with it. They almost like explore every region of that style in that one kind of track. That's not true. Maybe a couple of tracks, but it's a little bit like Stray Cats, and same thing with Zoot and what was it? I know. What was it called? Was it Cherry Poppin' Daddies? Some stupid band name like that. No, it was. What's that style? It's like ska. Yeah, ska, but like, I don't know, like alley cat ska. Once you play that one kind of descending chord change, that's it. Every single song sounds the same. Sorry, I'm really not articulating it well right now, but I'm just chilling here with y'all. It's a dank looking Luna for sure. Let's see. I'm gonna keep going with the deep cuts here. I did want to talk a little bit about Tycho Crater, which is in view right now. The moon is definitely super hazy, and I got fireworks and such, so that's contributing to the view. But it's all good. I can use some contrast filters. So just let's look at these lines that are coming out of Tycho Crater and just do a tracing. I think I figured out how to draw over the whole screen. Let's see if that works. Pretty sweet. So right here, Tycho, even though it is round-ish, it's got like a whole bunch of straight sides, and it's drifting. Come back. Once we zoom in, you can see the angles on it. But let's just note this for now. And then we got the parallel rays that come off. Those are the most prominent. You've got this kind of indentation right here, or it's called ejecta, but let's say we're looking at it through the plasma paradigm. It's really that this matter was actually kind of pushed outwards. I was watching some of Andrew Hall on Thunderbolts Project talk about this remnant shock imprint. So as the arc blast is hitting the moon right here, it actually creates these patterns where the regolith is pushed out in very particular patterns, almost like a spider web. So there's a thought there just to look into. Similarly, let me erase that for a sec. Tycho Crater has a central peak, which again is a signature of possible electric scarification because of when the arc terminates, it leaves a residual center peak in many, many craters, not just the moon, but Ceres and Pluto and the moon Charon. Hopping into the chat here for a second. Like the webbing of the human iris, that's a great point, Genghis Khan. Exactly, it kind of has triangulation to it, like a reverberation in water. So anyway, that's reminiscent not only of cymatics, right, but those patterns that emerge from fractals. Let me adjust this contrast. So same thing, we got these masses of dust and dirt being pushed away electrically by electric winds and shockwave reverberations. Did I really just do that? Deselect. Okay, there we go. So what else are we looking at? We're looking at, oh, what I was going to say is that it's reminiscent of the striations that come out of Copernicus crater north of it here. Let's look at that for a second. It's getting hazier and hazier, huh? So these kind of dendritic filaments, but further you have those kind of just pointed, like directional pushes. It's a little harder to see, but I find it so fascinating that this looks to me now like it cannot be anything but electrical. I don't even imagine that something could have hit this and created these types of lines. Now, that's not really scientific because that's just my gut at this point, but there's something to it. When I was watching Andy Hall on Thunderbolts Project, he was just saying it's very simple. I mean, you can see the actual patterns in the Earth. And same thing, we can see the actual patterns on the surface of the moon, and we know these electrical signatures are, for me, especially it's on your hand. If you look at your hand, you'll see all these same type of dendritic filaments. And if you look at rivers and canals, they do the same sort of thing. Same thing with neurons, and probably when you look at civilizations from space, they start creating these sort of filamentary networks. There's a reason for that, and this is the reason, is because fundamentally the structure is this electric magnetic system. There's almost like a huge cube here. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just sitting here staring at it, but furthermore, you have the kind of connection, this Pythagorean triangle around this region, Copernicus to Kepler. Who knows if this is exactly what it is, but that's a right angle triangle. You have this diamond shape that is just somehow like an island in this mare, right? And then you have Kepler right here, which in and of itself has this kind of diamond structure. Copernicus, up close, has sides. It's not exactly hexagonal, but it's like dodecahedral. You have all these filaments coming out of it. It immediately starts looking like stuff we took in school. And somehow, like, the contemporary understanding is that the moon was hit with a whole ton of bombardment throughout the eons, 3 billion years ago and so on, and that those meteors and rocks basically created this geometry. And so for me, it's very simple. I just would love to talk about it more and think about it and see if maybe it wasn't really created by impact, but more so created with like filaments that look like this. Maybe when the moon was actually being so-called captured by Earth or merging to become tidally locked with Earth. So it had all these crazy huge sprite-like lightning bolts kind of breaking its fall. Well, not its fall, but the way I imagine that gravity works, the way Ken Wheeler describes it, is that two bodies create a null point in counter space that they both are attracted or move towards. And so if the Earth was trying to reach equilibrium with its orbit with Earth, or maybe with the sun, then these filaments may be visible, likely visible, but maybe invisible, were forming these features on the moon when the surface was more even, let's say. The same way, cellular patterns will grow before they're interfered with. So, electric arcing, hitting certain more magnetic hotspots, energetic hotspots on the moon versus others. And then what's happening is that moon dust and rocks and maybe even more minerals that were fused together and alchemically transmutated or pushed outwards in these high energy blasts. And then the reason they look this way is because essentially they form like circular bubbles. Whoops. I can even draw right over here so you see this. So it's boiling, and ultimately it reaches here, and then it's boiling and or burning, and then it reaches here. And then once it kind of reaches this area, you get the hyperboloid. This is where the concentration of matter is. This is the plane of inertia. And it coalesces matter along this dense center, and other matter gets pushed outwards that way. And they start pushing and getting closer. They'll create a more linear boundary layer. And that's where you get these kind of hexagons forming. So same thing here. And you even have like an imprint of what would be a plasmoid in the shape of Proclus crater. I would imagine it's the same here with Aristarchus, which is at the corner of a diamond. Jedi Princess says, do I think all these strikes happened at the same time? I think there was probably a period of capture, and it happened over gradation. So maybe certain features I think that are more magnetic, like there are NASA missions, like the Grail missions and the Apollo missions that measured remnant magnetism, which was predicted by Jurgens and Velikovsky. And they turned out to be right because they suspected that the moon was carved this way, and Brian J. Ford as well. So I think, for me, I think things happened over a relatively short period of time in terms of like the epochs that we're supposed to believe that 100 million years to carve out something, or billion years, for example. Maybe it's something more like 100 years or 1,000 years, or maybe 10 years, as the Earth kind of reached equilibrium with the moon, or the moon maybe was more dense and had more of an atmosphere and lost it over time, you know? All right. Let's get back to the tunes here. Went off on a bit of a plasma tangent, but that's to be expected. What do I got here? All right, this one is something. I think this is called The Shape of Man.
Yeah. All of the ones can be foretold. Everything is and nothing is new. Everyone plays, we're learning to fold. We can be friends just for a few minutes, seconds, hours, to time devours. Hell, I wish I was rolling okay. To count the wishes to get hold of myself. I know your pieces, they go together. Just like colors on surfing weather. Something as if you only let it get you, my friend. A desperate chance away to measure's always a gift. It's right across the sample of this crazy system. Where you end up, where you go, baby, don't miss it. You're never gonna calm down. Never gonna calm down. Never gonna calm
All right, so 12:05. It is the 4th here on the East Coast. Shout outs to everybody. Thanks for hanging out on yet another space journey with me. So the golden glow is real. It's crazy amazing. Got fireworks in the distance, and the moon is crossing into the southern zenith zone. Got Jupiter and Saturn coming up in tow. Even Mars is about to rise in the next hour or so, but it'll be another maybe month before we can see all of them in a series. I hope I've been playing some really deep cuts that most of you've never heard, even though some of them are really, really rough. But I got a couple more, and then get back to some of the new stuff. And yeah, once it gets a bit clearer, I'll sketch some more hexagons. But I even wanted to title the video tonight, "No Circles on the Moon." But it's going to be tough to argue, because there are certainly very circular features on the moon, one could say. But indeed, as I've pointed out and sketched time and time again, most of them really look like hexagons, pentagons, octagons, dodecas, and beyond. And they all have boundaries, basically, because of this either electric arcing or bubbling effect. Anyway, always gonna try and reiterate that if I have a moment. So we're gonna go into this track called Ringo Stars, and pretty sure you'll have never heard this one.
will pop along in country from the stars.
let's talk. Let's do a quick detour into video games. Glitch. Video game territory. Because I am a gamer, and you can't stop me from talking about lots of video games, but I'll admit I haven't played Xbox in maybe 5 years, 4 years, yeah, probably 5 years. I haven't played really anything on Steam, PC, PlayStation in like 5+ years. I have played a ton of like iPhone Tetris and chess, and it's very specific. So I'll play classic Tetris. Like I don't care about all the super like crazy power-ups, but I'll do like a very specific limited version. And they basically canceled Tetris Blitz at this point. And then I play chess now because, you know, you can always get better at chess. Excuse me. Let me get a drink here. So, damn. So I definitely have a couple of PCs that are like decked out. I could play pretty much any game, but I don't really ever do it. So I'll quickly talk about what I've replaced it basically with, you know, doing TakeBackSpace, which is like the ultimate video game to me. So I've talked about it a few times, like maybe a couple years ago, but I'll reiterate it for all the new fans and, you know, whatever. I repeat myself a lot. So TakeBackSpace is like setting up the computers and being able to stream, right? It is being able to get good sounding audio. It's writing all the music on top of the astronomy, the scoping, paying for it, doing it for free, going against the mainstream pop, you know, pop science culture. So like basically people think I'm crazy, even though like I do this work really seriously. Learned photography, and it sounds like I'm bragging, but it was just a whole set of skills that like I had very little to do with about 5 years ago, and I learned them all at once, and I made it like this major video game, like super achievement. And yeah, so when I do these shows, okay, right, and then once you get the shows running, then you have this remote control for the telescope where you set up the scope, and the better you set it up, the more pleasant the show goes, right? If the internet connection is set up right, the more pleasant the show goes. So everything is little micro achievements that I've made up for doing this show. And I would imagine that like a lot of YouTubers approach doing their videos the same way, like gamifying this kind of idea of streaming live, or any number of things, like doing art, but specifically this. Anyway, let me go back instead of talking about myself and take back space. I'll talk about video games that I've played, but we'll see if it resonates with y'all. So I played black and white Tetris on the Game Boy in '89, actually in 1990, a year after that Game Boy came out. And like I was scoring really high, and no one had ever even heard of the Game Boy. So that was my first game experience. I also played MK1, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter in arcades in 1991. And MK2 came out, and I was reading Power, what was it? Nintendo Power magazine, and not having any cash as a 12-year-old. So, yeah. So I go all the way back to that type of gaming. And then I played Sonic on the original Genesis. Let's see. I played Mortal Kombat when it came out with the blood code, with the blood cheat. And then fast forward to like turn of the century or whatever, 1999, 2000, when people were first online and the PlayStation had a network adapter that you plugged into the back, this heavy-duty thing, and you could plug it in and like play. I used to play the first like real competitive stuff was Mortal Kombat Deception, where you had those like 13 hit combos, juggle combos, and you could like switch styles with each character, like Shang Tsung and Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That was one of the best times. I wonder, was that like, I think it was like 2003 actually. But before that, I was playing Unreal Tournament, which was, it said 2003, but it came out in like 2001 or 2. And we used to play online at LAN, well, it wasn't LAN parties really, it was like, it was actually online, and you jump into rooms with like frag anti-gravity rooms. It was modded Unreal Tournament, which was like the first kind of online, and you get there and like get that hit and like try and just beat rank. Let's see. I'm gonna keep the chat. NHL 95 on the Genesis, hell yeah. Who was my main in Mortal Kombat? I was always a Scorpion kid. I played Scorpion, and then I got really good at Sub-Zero. With Street Fighter, I was always like, when I was a kid, I played Blanka a lot. But then Street Fighter, when I was in my 20s, I started playing Ken and Ryu, or Ryu. And I really like that style more, like that kind of, basically the Shoryuken and and the Hurricane Kick and the Fireball. If you can really learn how to spam Fireball, you can basically beat everybody with Ken. Especially the Dragon Uppercut. Forget it. Let's see. Am I going off on like, tell me if it's totally boring for some of you to talk about video games, because I could talk a lot. I never had the GameCube. My friends had it, and they played Mario a lot, and it wasn't like I didn't like Nintendo, but once you got the PlayStation, there were things like, there's SSX Tricky. Earlier than that, there was like Crash Bandicoot on PS1. There's Metal Gear. Oh my god, Metal Gear was amazing. Then I got into Fallout, Oblivion, Skyrim, like hundreds and hundreds of hours, finishing like all the expansion packs, maxing out. You can imagine like the way I do TakeBackSpace obsessively, that I would have like maxed the hell out of those games. Achievement whoring. I also, in 2006 or 5, when Xbox 360 came out, I actually got into kind of professional or whatever. I wanted to do professional gaming. So I started going after achievements when they first launched achievements. And I used to just go after like all the arcade games, because they would have a release cycle where they would release like Xbox Live arcade games, and you get 200 gamer points. This is getting super specific, but they used to release really cool games, like reiterations of older arcade games, but things like Joust, and there was this like Outpost Koloki. There were these little like utilitarian games and tower defense games, like Galaga remakes, Pac-Man. That was even later. Earlier than that, there were like little car racing games. I'm totally spacing on it, but that's the type of stuff I got really obsessed with, until they started having a release cycle where I couldn't really keep up with buying every single arcade game, but I was going after like top rank there. Let's see. Twisted Metal. Hell yeah, you played a lot of Twisted Metal. What was it? 3, I think. Smash Bros. That's one game that I really never got into. Of course, the whole way Nintendo, I was like, I did Zelda, Link to the Past, of course. Zelda's definitely one of my favorites. I don't think it really tops the SNES version, even though the NES versions were awesome, and Ocarina of Time on the Game Boy was like definitely part of my whole childhood every time I hear that. But yeah, SNES, A Link to the Past, probably one of the best games. Naruto on GameCube, nope, didn't get that. Let's see, Genghis says got some good memories of playing Golden Axe. Oh my god, Golden Axe is amazing on the Genesis. In Aladdin's castle with your pals and getting a crowd around the machine to oh, that was at an arcade, yeah. Golden Axe was also at home on the Genesis. It was crazy. That and Streets of Rage and yeah, Altered Beast. That was terrible. Let's see, ALV is what's going on? GameSpy servers. Oh yeah, Aladdin's cat. I'm just scrolling back up here. Remember the XNet? I'm trying to remember what is that. There were like so many services we signed up for, all the dial-up shit when the DSL came out. That was the greatest. Yep, Nintendo Power. I definitely played Atari for sure. Altered Beast, Rise from the Grave. Yes, Command and Conquer, hell yeah. I played so much Command and Conquer and then StarCraft, but really first it was CNC, and then they expanded it so you could get the Chinese army with what was it? It was like CNC Music Factory. Now Command and Conquer, there was just that secondary expansion, and then they kind of did the 3 expansions. Man, right now I'm spacing out on it, but I remember like Rush Tactics and the little rangers that you sent in to like, the best for me was playing Command and Conquer in a 4-way LAN party, 4-on-4. Was it 4-on-4? No, it was really, yeah, we could play 4-on-4, but really the good games were like 3-on-3 or 2-on-2. Road Rash, I played on the Sega Genesis and on an actual motorcycle when they had it in the arcade. Same thing with, now I'm thinking of Daytona. You guys remember Daytona? Oh my god, with the 8 cars. Wait, what was I talking about? I was talking about, I totally lost it. Oh, Command and Conquer, how much I loved Command and Conquer. I know they just remastered the whole series. Then there was Tiberian Sun. But the best was like, actually, man, I'm getting flashbacks of sitting in my early 20s playing Command and Conquer with like the Russian, with the snow map and like the black fog opening up, and there were Tesla coils and little red tanks, like the big mega tanks. And then we started doing like expansion, like that's when modding became kind of big, or at least like started becoming a thing where you could download Command and Conquer mod packs, and then it became really fucking weird. Arum Borax says, I remember Daytona. Yeah, shout out. And then even further, Sega Rally. Take a left. Soft left. Easy right. All right, Need for Speed. All right. I definitely played Need for Speed Most Wanted, like a bunch. I know I got 1,000 achievements on one of those. I think it was back in like 10 years ago or something. Let's see. Just there were so many overlapping gaming experiences. What else was there? So Xbox, I got into Fallout so Fallout 3, just freaking amazing. And BioShock was really a great experience. With the splicers, oh my god, that was such a crazy experience. I don't think anything after that really initial BioShock, it wasn't really as impactful, I think. Would You Kindly? That was just crazy, experientially. What else was there? Let's see. Ooh, now I'm remembering old stuff. Let's see if you all remember this. There was, when I was maybe like 91, 92, 93. I was like around 12 years old. We had PCs. There was Lemmings. Remember Lemmings? There was Aladdin. There was, of course, the classic Solitaire and Minesweeper. But no, there was also, there were these LucasArts games, which I think are some of my favorite, really, still. And there was also whoever did Maniac Mansion. I'm not giving them their due. Is it Lucas? It's not Lucas. But Day of the Tentacle, probably one of my favorites, all-time favorites. There was Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, and it was just like that click, open pouch of orichalcum and like fit the bull head. It was like some of the best like point-and-click adventures. And then there was Monkey Island. I remember those like multiple CDs where you had like 9, 10 Phantasmagoria. That's a deep cut. Let's see if anyone remembers what I'm talking about. Rastaman says, fuck yeah, Bioshock. Fantasy ecstasies like Tetris and music in a game. What's that? Oh, Lumines, man. 200 out of 200, the original Lumines on... Actually, that's crazy. I had Lumines on a PlayStation. Was it portable? So it wasn't the Vita. It was. Y'all remember when the first PlayStation Portable came out? It was like this wide thing. The first game was Lumines. I played the hell out of Lumines so much. That and Hexic, which is so funny now that I look at actually. This is a cool segue back to the moon, where like Tycho Crater looks like the center of the Hexic. If you've ever played Hexic on Xbox, it was one of the first like arcade games that existed on it back in 2006. So I played the hell out of Hexic, Zuma, Lumines, and then I had like a major addiction to things like DJ Hero, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, just tons and tons and tons of rhythm games for a while. And then, okay, to tail end this and take a quick break, PSP. Thank you, Fantasy Ecstasy. It was the PSP. That was such a like very advanced device, It was like the mini disc player. It felt like this thing that shouldn't really exist, and now they have like, yeah, it's funny. So I love Lumines, and what else was I gonna say? Zuma was amazing. Oh, I played a lot of Plants vs. Zombies when it first came out. Loved that game. And then, yeah, so to end it, I remember I had the Xbox, and I was still playing some rhythm games, and then I got GTA 5, and for some reason, like I played it like release day, and I was just like, man, I think it's gotten too real. I mean, I know it's cliched, but I was just like, man, this is not fun anymore. It's like they're trying too hard to make it believable, and I just feel like I'm like actively doing negative shit. It's like watching gore porn, like Saw or Hostel or any of those types of movies. I mean, once in a while, just having fun, but like over and over is just like not what I want to live. So GTA 5 broke my like long-term gaming streak, and then now basically my gaming is TakeBackSpace. Writing music really is like one of the most intense games, because you can just keep doing it, and like you can lose and lose and lose, and then when you win and you write a good song, it's amazing. All right, that was a deep dive into gaming. I know Cyberpunk is coming out. Yeah, I see a lot of the stuff coming out now, and it looks appealing, but I just do not have the time, to be honest. And like, chess is actually so difficult to master that whatever little time I have, I'm playing chess. Well, escapism for me, like, I think I've actually completely shifted to not wanting to escape. I'll talk about that on the way back, but it's really just about accepting Earth and life as being perfect because we exist. I know that sounds cheesy or whatever, but for me, that makes more sense, and I no longer want to escape. Like, do I want to numb myself a little bit? Sure, I'll numb myself a little bit, but gonna stay here on Earth. I'm not trying to get to Mars or leave this place in the dust. Heck yeah, let's play some tunes. This is called Willpowered, and it's still kind of work in progress, but this is the best mix so far, inspired by your reaction to it the other night. So let's rock and roll. I mean, let's dance.
Do you know why I've been beaten from the heart? I know, no lie. I've been thinking about you all night. Why? No why. I've been waiting for your white light. No why. I've been thinking that you should be mine. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. Oh, you send me messages across the cosmic network, and you send me pictures from across the astral plane, and you send me cryptic kisses across the matching network. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. Fortunate somebody, someone lost, someone somebody, someone lost, someone lost. Je t'attends, mon amour incestueux, ainsi l'amour que la même cimère, agitant la éternelle, avec on son billet. Je suis la même, dans l'avant-l'aile chaque jour. Je t'attends, mon amour, avec les mecs sans agrévé. Et c'est mon âme magnétique, c'est l'amour magnétique, c'est mon amour magnifique. Cool running, no warning, you wouldn't, 'cause what is rooted, whatever it takes. Please, I've been dreaming from the heart. No lie, been beaten from the heart. So glad I found your tree, drift like wood on the beach. We suffered longingly. Your world is coming apart at the seams.
So just chewing on some ice, playing some Soulfire. Hope y'all are feeling well. Rolling in almost 1 a.m. here. Man, it's already Saturday. It's crazy. So we're closing in on a full moon. What is it right now? 98.8 at 38 degrees. And it's crossed the southern zenith, which is awesome. Got Jupiter and Saturn coming up really soon past my door. Just needs a few more degrees. I'm gonna keep going with the tunes here. Got Sleepless Rider, and then maybe, I don't know, this untitled one, but I know I put it here for a reason. See you in the sequel. That's what it is. Sequel. Okay. I think it's getting a little bit clearer. It's got a really cool hazy glow to it. I dare not zoom in because I think it's too washed out. But hanging out with y'all here, another cosmic trip on the absolute edge of space. This is what our ancestors would have been doing if they had the internet. They just probably sat in fields on the steps of pyramids and watched crazy cosmic events. So we carry on the tradition in some form.
and forth on the tape. Just a moment till we're space, till we meet again. This way, see you in the sequels, and in the preface. I just know where we were, yeah, baby, outside. So sweet in love. Want to brave it till I make my way down. Cuddling, sitting down, I hold my head up high, sitting, waiting to fly. Ready since I was 5. See you in the sequel, stagnate my dreams. Don't know what this equals. Let me to your side. Goodbye, dreams. Anything so sweet for your heart tonight. See you in the sequel. I made a dream so high, and but yourself, apparitions that we bleed through. Every fear, your open wide soul modulation. You just come feel this ride so high, your love I'm craving, but I can't see it till you. Just bring me back. Oh, bring me back out of the cold. Just bring me back. Feel your open wide soul modulation. Just feel this ride so high, your love I'm craving. Just can't see it till you just bring me back. Just bring me back out of the cold. You know, bring me back. In the rain, in the cold, have dinner around the road. On top above my sin, I live without your heart. Oh, devil, let me sing and know that the days spent beyond the reed, even if I feel incomplete. Slow distance we flow, difference exists, difference without. I hold you up to be, I hold you up to the light you reach till you need a more like me. So I fall and bridge before we hit the ground. So I fall and bridge sleep when I lost you. No sleep when I lost you. You're my hurricane. No fear when I lost you. No fear when I lost you. You're my hurricane. Empty on that counter beach, theoretical option that yes, we saw all getting high here. And so many words of the living and the birds below the beach. Your summers of rain. Oh, tell me the way you've been. Slide over me. Slide over me. You would dream sweetly. Would slow you on so deep. And you come inside your fly. You're my hurricane. No sleep when I lost you. No sleep when I lost you. You're my hurricane. No fear when I lost you. Fear when I lost you. You're my
All right. I dare not utter that joke aloud, but it was very funny. I was trying to come up with the follow-up to it, but I think it's perfect as is. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. We got Jupiter in view. There's an interesting kind of darker region at the top right. I wonder if it's like just a Io, which is right there. Let me just double check that. Yeah, so it's strange because I guess the light would come from the left. So it's probably just due to storms at this point. But it is noticeable. Anyway, this is the Sony direct to the Nexstar 8. It's looking pretty nice. There's that kind of haze tonight. So it's not as clear as the last few, but pretty good, gotta say. Continue here with the tunes. What are we looking at? Crossing the 2-hour mark for sure. This is looking good. We got some Saturn as well I want to check out and definitely get back to the moon. Let's get into some bottomless here.
I won't pull no upgraded, now they got skills to society. Bring 8 billion are watching, and players power the minds and living it. But I'm the soul for you until you went away. Capturing stars for you until you leave
Job.
What's up, my peeps? Alright, I think I just got real sleepy, so I'm gonna wrap it up. It's been an awesome couple hours, and it's very, very hazy out. So I'll be back again tomorrow, weather permitting, around the same time, around 10, 11, and we'll check out some more space. I'm gonna crash so hard. Thanks so much for all the kind words and listening to me ramble on about video games tonight. That was fun. Reminiscing. Resonating with the old memory plasma shells about 10 feet away from me. All those imprinted achievement unlocked noises. Alright, so let's say goodnight to the moon. 127 is a good one. I'll play catch to take us out. I appreciate all of you. Have a great day tomorrow. And everyone who didn't show up tonight, also, if you're watching this, have an excellent day. All right, fam, I'm out of here. Put a fork in me, because I'm done for the night. All right, peace, everybody.
I left home at 17. Couldn't tell you if I was living a dream. What could I do? For a while I played the field. How could I prove the hidden yield without the blues to feel? My heart was cruel and left no residue. Catch me if you fall, catch me when you're low. The look goes higher, as friends you used to know. Catch you when you fall, catch you when you're low. I love you, take a good look, it's a simulation. Wake up, it's solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. And don't you know, your life is worth more than what you take a good look, it's a simulation. Wake up, it's solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. Man,